Good day, everyone. Good evening. You're welcome to a continuation of our book reviews. We are still on Power, Politics, and Death. We are in the fifth chapter or so. Today, we'll be discussing myself and Lukman, the banking reforms undertaken by former Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, and under the Yaradua presidency, and some of the major reforms we now see in the banking sector and the other issues surrounding the very important subject. So in 2007, 2008, 2009, there was a major economic crisis all across the world, and then many countries were panicking what the consequences will be on their economies, on jobs, on the banking sector, on foreign investment, the marketplace, and other things, employment, and so on. And it is within the context of this imminent economic crisis that the federal government under President Umar Yaradua thought that there were need to review the way in which the banking sector works and carry out certain reforms. Interestingly, that coincided with the period in which Soludo was the CBN governor, and then by the time this crisis had peaked, his first tenure had come to an end, and there were back and forth. There were a lot of politicking about whether he was reappointed the second time, or whether a new person is brought in to face the realities of that very interesting episode in the history of Nigeria's banking sector. Sewun Adeni in this work had gave us a sense of what were the thoughts in the presidency and what were some of the odds President Yaradua had to snack around to get some of the reforms carried out. So, Lukman, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
We'll continue this discussion, and I believe you will help us make a sense of what that chapter is in summary, what you make of it, and so that may lay the basis for our discussion. What do you make in summary of that chapter? You must remember that I'm not making this a matter of Q&A, but then just so that we get the composition started.
Well, there are a lot of, should I say, lessons that we can derive from that particular chapter. And as we have started discussing from our previous session about the hard decision Yaradua had to make, either to renew Soludo's tenure or to bring in another person to take over the governorship of the central bank. And there are a lot of things that had happened there. Some people were backing Soludo, and while others were hardly against him. And largely the members of the executive council, most of them were against him. But then there are a lot of people close to the president and his family that were strongly rooting for the renewal of Soludo's tenure. And the president had a very difficult decision to make. as the tenure had come to an end, those that were solidly against Soludo's renewal, the president requested solid evidence to be presented to him in order for him to make his decision. But then, as stated, as explained by Shegun Adeni, that there were no solid evidences that were brought. So the president was actually confused, if I should use that word. And Shegun Adeni would say that he was also among the people that were rooting for the renewal.
Okay, can you help us establish a context for the president's confusion? What were the reasons for his confusion?
Well, I think it's because of the difficult decision he has to make. If he were to renew Soludo's tenure, and then what people have been telling him about the rot in the banking sector, then he would have made a very bad decision. And if he had terminated him and brought in another person, while all those accusations were false, he must have made a very wrong decision or wrong judgment against Soludo. And well, I think basically this is what brought to his confusion.
Okay, let us look at what Seun said here. The president was really worried about what impacts the 2008 worldwide economic recession would have on the Nigerian economy.
Yes.
And he even had a committee set up to look at the possible effects on the Nigerian economy, in which Soludo was invited to give an overview of the situation, and he gave a presentation that was ordinarily to have given some relief to the government, but then the president was still not very much. The president may have been impressed. The Federal Executive Council may have been impressed, by the way, but he was accused of being economical with some of the happenings, the truth about some of the things happening in the bank. Now, it is within this context, I think, that the issue of his renewal is to be understood.
Yes.
Now, he said that there is very little things to be worried about, given that the banking sector appears to be less vulnerable to the effects of the global recession. Now, the president's confusion is, in essence, informed by some of the things people were telling him. People who may have had some experience in the banking sector, people who know the true state of things. The president simply appears to be ignorant in the sector, and I strongly commend him for even establishing that as a basis for his decision. He's truly, because many times these decisions are informed simply by power. Yes. You have the power,
yes,
and it is time you can sack or hire anyone you want. So the president established that he has a dilemma, that he has no way of knowing the exact state of the banking sector.
Yes.
And his fear was informed largely by his skepticism as to, whether to allow Soludo to continue
Yes.
or bring someone. If he does the former and what he had uh, came out to be true, it wouldn't be fair to the Nigerian state.
Yes.
But if Soludo was right and he still went ahead to root him out, he is not fair to Soludo. He wasn't fair, he felt,
Yes.
to Soludo and some of the people around him who are rooting
Against it.
for him.
For him, yes.
Yeah. So that is a clear dilemma. But this is the problems leaders are sometimes faced with. You are in a middle of a dialectic,
Yes.
a serious one, that because we don't have the ability to really foresee
Yes.
in tangible terms
Read
what the
people's minds.
future even holds.
Yes.
You are always locked in the present and the past.
Yes.
You have to be an extraordinary visionary to be able to foresee or to have a fair prediction of what is likely to happen. So sometimes we like to accuse leaders of indecision,
Yes.
but these are the circumstances that surround many of the decisions they take.
Yes.
He is going to renew. He has a choice of renewing Soludo, who would have 4 years, or bringing in someone who will have 4 years. The challenge is that when he brings in anyone, if he allows Soludo, if he had allowed him, he would have 4 years, and the president would have nothing to do.
Yes. For the next 4
Yeah.
years.
In the same way, if he had
Brought in another person.
yeah, which he did, he would have nothing to do for the next 4 years, and the country may suffer for any of this decision if it had not gone well.
Well, yes.
So this is just a fraction of the dilemma a leader always faces when he's in power. You make decision on behalf of 200 million people, and on subjects that you as an individual, you have no credential of ever understanding.
Yes.
In fields that you don't even understand. Sometimes it will be crisis. Sometimes it will be it is some people's mischief.
Yes.
There are a lot of things.
Other things.
And even at the very day the president was to make that decision, he was not very convinced. He did not appear to have had a conviction
Yes.
of what to do. So I think this is a very important learning moment for Nigerians, to understand that presidents do not have two heads. Presidents are subject to confusion. Presidents may be ignorant of these things. Presidents may be uh, maybe locked in in family
Yes.
politics, a lot of things.
They are bound to make mistakes.
They are bound to make mistakes, and there are times they take decisions that they are not too sure of.
Yes, but they have no
Option. You don't expect that the president knows it all the time.
Yes.
To the extent that if his decision goes back bad, you hold him accountable. The only thing is, if a president makes a decision and it turns out to be poorly thought out, it turns out to be a wrong one, do you think that it will make up if the president axes the person, fires him, or even when the president says that this appointee of mine has failed? Do you think it will make up? Because if the president appoints, for instance, the chief of army staff, and then there are more killings, people will always come back to say that the president doesn't know what he's doing. So is it in your thought appropriate to say that, or does it make up if the president say, see, this appointee is failing, you've disappointed me in public? Would that make up for?
No, it won't.
But
that disappointment or show of disappointment is, I think, is between the president and the appointee. And the disappointment for Nigerians, I think it would be to the president, because that's the person the people have elected. And even though he is bound to make mistakes, or things might be out of his own control.
So are Nigerians supposed to hold the president accountable when obviously this decision did not go down well? Not by his choice, but he had made
yes,
the greatest effort
yes,
anyone would make.
Made every provisions, and he made every effort. Well, it depends on the people we are talking about. It can be the ordinary masses that do not even understand the government, and they might not even give excuses for the government. So long as the government fails, the president has failed. But it might be people that understand how the government works.
Because there is one context to this. In the case of, for instance, the CBN governor, when the president appoints him, there are other set of laws,
yes, that
determine whether the president still retains the power to remove him.
Yes.
So sometimes the processes to get him out is even much difficult than waiting for his time to run out. So are we as a people not therefore appreciating the effort of our leaders, or what?
Yes, I think we are not appreciating, and that can be informed because of the ignorance of people on how the government works, as we have been saying through the previous chapters, and we have been uncovering how difficult the position of a president is, contrary to what people think, that the president only sits in the office and signs.
Yeah, because sometimes people are right. It works with what they see.
Yes.
The president has a motorcade, a convoy of 100 vehicles, surrounded by an army of different security agents, DSS, police, army, and so on. This is what people see.
Yes.
They see the president. They see the president, the villa,
luxury, beautiful
a lot of things. That's what people think, and sometimes these leaders help this view of themselves by the kind of lifestyle they live.
Yes.
So it is very complex. These people come out to say that vote for me, should vote for us.
Yes.
You voted for them in confidence, and you come out later on after you've been elected into power to say that, see, these decisions we make are not as simple as you think.
Nobody will listen to that.
Nobody will listen to it, and the blame should go to
because
the
that
president.
was your campaign points. You
Yes.
have been showing people that
Yes.
these things can easily be done by a
Yes.
president.
Yes.
The president can do and undo.
In fact, you seem to say that you have certain extraordinary powers,
Yes.
or abilities,
Yes.
to be able to recruit the right people, to make them work,
Yes.
to insist that the system works effectively. This is the basis upon which you were even elected in the first place.
You can't convince people otherwise.
Well, that is that. I think it is a very difficult.
Yes,
situation.
exactly. It's very difficult. It's very complex.
Leaders are in. Sometimes when you are in position of leadership, you are in a very difficult situation.
But nonetheless, I think these are series, if I should call it, series of lessons for aspiring leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. If they care to read, because sometimes the people are only interested in getting into power.
Yes.
When they go into power, for instance, I have done a little of student politics.
Yes.
I was drawn into it.
Yes.
I was the president of my faculty and then the chairman committee of faculty presidents. I was drawn into it, not by choice really. But there were times when, so we are a faculty of about 5 or 6 departments. We have about 3,000 or 4,000 students, or 5,000 at most. And so compared to Nigeria, there's a very small sample.
Yes, exactly.
But I can tell you that there were times I had wished I would just hand over power. In fact, one of my happiest days was the day I handed over power, because there were a group of people who were stationed against every decision I make. I am the type who has strong convictions. If I believe in something, I
Yes.
I am. If I'm the only, I listen to people, but I don't know if I'm arrogant. But there are times that I take decisions that I'm not even waiting for contrary opinion. The point is, I don't seek people's validation for what decisions I make.
So long as that's your conviction.
Because many times I have information that many people don't want. There are times when we have no funds, or the money we have are so scarce that some of the things people expect us to do are practically impossible, even for the deans and HODs. So I knew how difficult it was. You have a group of people who station themselves against everything you do. And they make it look like it is the majority opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
Many of the people don't even care.
They don't care.
They don't even know what is happening. They don't even want to know. Many people are even sympathetic of those of you who have to, deal with your own academics and then unionism. It was a hell. So people will be taking up issues that are outside your own responsibility. They are even beyond you.
Yes.
So leadership is quite complex. Those in power are sometimes really suffering.
Yes.
But since you asked for it,
yes, you asked for it.
Then it is you deserve it. You deserve the hit.
Yes.
And I think that's why it is wrong for leaders to be lamenting on these things regularly, that when we came in, the situation is bad.
That one is your problem.
Yeah.
You said you can do.
Yes, because the way government works, you have no way of knowing the real state of things until you get in.
Exactly.
The first report you will be met to see will shock you.
Yes.
You know, you find, like in the case of this administration, the president kept on saying that when they came in, there was nothing in the treasury. So that was your welcome, and things will only get worse as.
Yes.
So we must appreciate the dilemma leaders find themselves in, but those aspiring to get into these offices must understand that we cannot pity them while in those offices because they asked for it.
So long as you were not appointed, you were elected, you campaigned for it, you convinced people that you could do it.
So I think that's. But there is one thing about Nigeria or about other countries that I think is a bit complex to me. Nigerians will say that the president has failed, he should resign. Is resigning supposed to make up for a failure? Is it the appropriate thing because your appointee fails to do X, Y, Z, or something happens that is probably obviously beyond your and a problem that was never foreseen?
Yes.
Happened, and then somehow, somewhere you're told that, see, this president should resign. This you must have seen this in Nigeria.
Yes, exactly.
So how do these things hit you when you hear them? Because for me, it's very outrageous.
It doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't make up.
Because
it will only make things worse.
It's just like you, when you send your salespeople to go and sell books in your bookshop, and then they fail to sell them as per the target you've given them, and you have a board meeting and you're supposed to account for these things, and you tell the board XYZ and say, okay, because my marketing personnel failed to sell these books, I am resigning. Does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense at all.
I don't know. In other countries, it makes sense. But to me, it is pretentious. It is escapist. You are trying to just escape from
the responsibilities,
the problems.
Yes.
Yeah. That is not heroism at all to me. But in some countries, this happened. Whether they were informed by guilt, by shame, I don't know. But I don't know. I just
when
can't
you look at their mindset there and our mindset here. It's not the same.
Yeah, I agree.
Probably for us here, what the person in question sees, if he should leave that office, all the luxury and the sweet things in that office is going to lose it. So it's better for that person to just stay there and just take the hit, whatever is going to happen.
That's just one of the possibilities.
Yes, one of the possibilities.
Yeah.
But then again, when you look at it from other angles, it's not heroism. It's cowardice.
Yes.
It's cowardice.
Yes.
You are running away from a problem. Instead of you to face the problem and find a solution, you are running away from it.
That is one thing we don't see as a people. That this world is a continuous series of problems and problem-solving efforts we make. The world works by what problems we can solve.
Yes.
If problems will cease today, it means you and I will lose our jobs today, and everything will hit. Will go to sleep.
Yes.
So, a leader is in position to really foresee a problem think of a possible solution, and then when it happens, he does it. So to assume that you will live in a country where there won't be incidents, there won't be problems, is actually silly.
Yes.
It is silly for anyone to think that the country will run smoothly without incidents that will be unexpected. These are the things, and I think as a people, we have to accept problems as part of an everyday routine, every day, because in every day there are problems, individual, communal, societal, that must occur.
Yes.
In order for us to survive.
Yes.
So that's why one of my mentors will always pray for the power to overcome his problems rather than to pray for problems to cease. And I think it is quite important that we look at society within this context. So let's proceed. By after establishing that yes, Yaradua had these shortcomings, he was in difficulty as to whether renew Soludo or bring Sanusi Lamido, or not really Sanusi Lamido, but someone else.
Yes.
Because of one, many people believe that Saludo is an Igbo man, and because of how the Igbos were how the Igbos
perceive,
were perceived to be in the sidelines.
yes,
It feels that when Saludo is removed,
Yaradua is going to bring
a northerner, and that will mean a further nepotism against the Igbo people. So that's one. Two is the fact that Saludo is very close to people around the president, including members of his family.
Yes.
And the president's close friends. And then the third thing is the fact that Saludo is in the middle of whatever problem the banking sector is, and you will always expect that people who understand the problem are better positioned to deal with them.
Yes.
So these are some of the challenges the president had in that decision. But beyond that, in any case, the president took the bold decision to bring in Sanusi Lamido Sanusi.
It turned out to be a right decision,
which turned out to really save the day.
Yes.
And let us now look at some of the things that happened after Emir Sanusi was brought in. He confirmed the president's concerns.
Yes.
The banks were in distress. Bank CEOs have a way of using depositors' funds to trade in the stock market,
yes,
to take depositors' money and then give out loans that were very probable whether they would be ever repaid. They take fat salaries for themselves, and quite a lot of other. One of them was accused of even buying a private jet.
yes,
And so banks were just run as some sort of private savings of the CEOs. And it is true, they were really powerful. they finance campaigns, they make sure their friends and cronies are in positions of power. Many
passports were being
we
seized.
were seized. Many people were forced really to return depositors' money, loans repaid, all these things. Many things in this country can only be dealt with in this way.
Radically.
Yeah. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes the constitution has a way of clipping your hands.
Yes.
You can't do some of. But then that approach, I think, is quite a very important one in many sectors in this country. A lot of sectors. The whole country needs something like that. And this is why some people think that the president should sometimes operate as though he's a dictator. Because certain things, corporal punishment is entirely different. No, whipping is not a corporal punishment. Sometimes it makes the child feel embarrassed.
Yes.
And in order for the child to avoid being embarrassed again, he will make sure he doesn't. Because at the point, children feel, for instance, that it is a free world. We'll do whatever we think. So there is hardly ever any way you will make them understand that these things are not good. It's not in their interest. But to them, if once it appeals to them, you will see children jumping from a tree, or from a desk to another desk, or almost about harming themselves. And you sit them down and you explain these things to them. You see students, your student exhibiting traits that prove that this guy has bad company at home, that this boy is likely into drugs and so on. But how can you make him understand the dangers of these things?
Mental maturity.
Yeah, because there are stages in life for a child that he doesn't understand this explanation. He doesn't even listen. He doesn't. Yes. Yeah, it is good if you explain it to them, because as they grow, they may make sense of it. But
we use two ways.
Yes, carrot and stick.
Exactly.
I still hold that people say that because this is how you were raised, doesn't mean that other children need to be raised the same way. But you see the children being raised nowadays, people who don't have any sense of respect.
Yes.
We are creating a flat line. The surface is flat. Everyone is the same. Sometimes we only respect people who can give us more money rather than people who deserve this respect, because the society has been flattened.
Yes.
Nobody is seen to be able to make decisions and enforce them, because someone thinks that, why would my father make the decision? He's a man, I'm a man, I'm 18 plus, he's 18 plus, so why would he is a free world? So there, if you find people who understand reason, who can reason, fine, you deal with them along that. But if you find people who only understand fear, then you have to
use the fear.
You have to use the instrument of fear. You have to use the threat.
That's the only thing they
and that's what helped the banking sector. Yes. If you gather them and then say, see, we have this national.
Yes, please, you should resign.
Resign. It's not about even resign. Please stop this lifestyle.
Yes. Pay back people's
money.
Back.
How would they have done that? 110 billion naira was recovered within a short period of. Sometimes most people, majority of communication is good, but sometimes communication is not only verbal.
Yes.
It cuts across a lot of things, body language, a lot of things, but you must be able to wield, you must
communicate effectively.
Yes, and people must see the potential of being hard, being very hard when
Yes.
it is necessary.
Yes.
That's the only way you can relate with some people. That's the reality of this life.
Yes.
Let people say whatever they would say, but this is the truth. We haven't reached that civilization yet.
We are
That
never
point,
going to reach
we
that.
will never reach that point, because order has to be set, and order is only defined by someone making the decision and enforcing
Someone
it, and then
enforcing
other
it.
follows that decision.
Yes.
You cannot live in a flat surface, all of you. No,
It's not possible.
it's not possible. It's not possible. So this is quite an important episode in how to make Nigeria work.
Yes.
You can't just say that, and this sometimes my problem even with this president. He will appoint people into positions of respect and then expect them to, look at everything the way he would have
Done it if you were in that
yeah,
position.
it's not always possible. When he came to power, people were already, scared that if they do something wrong, there were even popular sayings that, the president's body language and so on.
Yes.
And so on. People who don't turn up to offices started reporting on time and so on. And the first few months when they see that, things are
He
not
was not the general they know.
yeah. So a country like Nigeria, with the way things have collapsed, I, I tell you, we have to be treated the carrot and stick way. That's just the truth. So, one key episode in this is Yaradua's family and the bank PHB, and what the former CBN governor was about to do.
Yeah.
The president had substantial. The president's family had substantial
interest
in the bank, and the CBN governor has marked them out for a crackdown. But then now he is in the beginning he gave the CBN governor the mandate to go ahead and effect
do
whatever
your work.
Now the parties involved are people directly linked to your principle. How do you help us interpret Yaradua's dilemma in such a situation, and what he later on decided to happen? How do you help us interpret such a dilemma, as supposing you are in that circumstance? How would it have?
The president would have to have a very strong conviction as the people that the CBN governor will be fighting were his family members and his friends. People that have that personal relation with the president. That the CBN governor is going to fight them. So for the president to stand his ground, he would have had a lot of pressure from the family and his friends. Probably elders would be involved. Maybe a lot of people that the president respects. But then the president stood his ground. And the CBN governor even sought relation, or should I say influence with the security agents, the police and the EFCC and others. And the president gave him that executive approval to have their cooperation.
But Lukman, beyond that, what helped the president make that decision was not only the fact that it was not even just a question of conviction. He, as a person, was still not was not comfortable with the way the bank was run.
Yes.
Here, Seun had captured that. What these do-gooders did not reckon with, however, was that the president had some inside knowledge about some of the issues within the bank PHB and could not have been shocked by CBN's findings. An incident a few weeks earlier validates this position. On the way back to the residence from the office, the ADC had hinted to the president that Atuche, who was the CEO, of course, wanted to see him. In a charged mood, the president asked the ADC, "Is he your friend? If he's your friend, you better warn him." Murtala Yaradua, who is Yaradua's brother, I think, or nephew, has told me of how the guy is messing up the bank, giving out unsecured loans left, right, and center. In fact, let him come. I want to see him. That is the context.
Yes.
So, Yaradua already knew what was happening
in the bank
and
PHB.
he was not comfortable.
Yes.
What the CBN governor was doing was, in fact, to be seen as an excuse for Yaradua to get rid of someone who is messing up with the bank.
Yes.
So I think that also helped Yaradua. It would have been different if the Yaradua had no such background knowledge or no such views, because he was probably looking for a chance to
oust the
chief executive. So I think that was then the other part is Ahondoka.
Yes.
I don't know how he kept on appearing in the bad side of things. He was accused of
conniving
with bank CEOs.
Yes.
And because of the immense power of his office, enormous powers vested in that office, he was trying to scuttle every effort made by the CBN governor. I do not know whether his interpretation of the law is too complex for Seun and other Nigerians, because he was always in the news those days and always on the bad side. Is it that he is, as a person, misunderstood by Nigerians, or that he is happy to be on the bad side of things, or is he by nature always taking side with
bad people?
With the bad people, I don't know, but that is another very interesting, because Sanusi was so shocked, so alarmed by Ahondoka's intervention that he had to send a text message to the president's ADC, lodging a complaint for what Ahondoka was doing. So, but at the end of the day, the president stood with the CBN governor, and then he had his way. But then another dilemma, another thing for which Yaradua must be commended, is the fact that many of these bank CEOs have donated handsomely to the campaign that eventually brought him into the office. Ordinarily, he should have been indebted to them, but now it was a situation where he had to make a decision for the good of the country, because if the banking sector collapses, if depositors' money disappears, it will have been a national catastrophe, an economic disaster that probably would not have survived by now.
Yes.
So it was a very epic decision from the president, and I think we have to
commend him. So I think that's that for this chapter. It is quite short. Some of the things Sanusi did, just for the context, is that when he came to power, he conducted an exam into office. He carried out an assessment of the banks. He found out that many of the banks, 10 in particular, are in a state of complete distress. And then the only way the situation could have been salvaged were to either give a bailout to the bank
funds.
and then sanction the CEOs who helped to cause those problems. Or to allow the banks to go down. But the option of bailout and then removing the CEOs was taken. The president thought that that was a better option. Bailouts were given to some of the banks.
Yes.
CEOs removed. A recovery measure was implemented. Some of the monies were recovered, and then at that time, the banks operate in a certain way. The CEOs have the controlling share in that bank those days, and because they have the controlling share, they run the banks more or less some sort of a private enterprise.
Yes.
So Sanusi made sure that all the CEOs are gone. If they want, let them become chairman of the board of the bank, which but as to be CEO, it affects the efficiency of the banks, because if it belongs to you, you think that some of the things you can just close your eyes and do it regardless of what consequences they may have. So I think those reforms really helped ethnic, religious, or regionally. As far as I'm concerned, it is terrorism. So Abdul Mutallab in 2009, he was caught trying to blow up a plane, US bound, and then news went around that a Nigerian, which seems to give the impression that it was more like a Nigerian plot against the US.
He was representing Nigeria.
Yeah. So I mean, that was a shocker to many of because it was just less than a decade after the September 11, and you could remember how that changed the way in which world politics was done. So I think that episode and Boko Haram were some of the misgivings of the Yaradua administration, and I think there need substantial sessions to be properly digested. So let us leave it here on the note that they will form our basis of our next discussion. So thank you very much. We have really taken so much time discussing the banking reforms, and I wish we have a lot more time to do more. So thank you very much for being part of our weekly book reviews. Myself and Lukman are very much grateful to have you join us. We'll continue with the discussions, and I keep saying that we have a lot more books to review in addition to this one, and we are working on really bringing in other books that may really interest you. So the plan is has reached an advanced stage, and very soon they will be rolled out, and I'm pretty sure they will interest you. So thank you for being part of this. Please join us next week as we continue with the discussion. Thank you very much.